All right, everybody, welcome back to another Firewood News Update, where we're going to breeze through these headlines here this month and see what's going on out there. Now, I didn't do a lot of work on all the regulations and everything, especially the stuff that's going on in Europe with the wood boiler regulations and stuff this month. There was just kind of a little schmatter-schmear of news of unrelated things, plenty of other news going on out there in the world. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Y'all go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you watch some videos if you do subscribe. Now, we're going to move over to India and Kurdistan. As a result of the Iran war and everything that's going on with the shipping and the energy supply over there in the Middle East, these places are having a hard time locating propane gas cylinders to cook on. So in India specifically, I see there was at Savitribai Phule Pune University, that's SPPU campus. Both the girls' mess and the boys' mess ran out of cooking fuel and they had to revert to firewood. So they are now cooking on firewood, but it is difficult to make chapati on firewood, so they have been eating other things. They had rice, lentil, curry, vegetables, and puree on Monday evening. And the girls were given masala rice and chickpeas. So they're getting it done on the wood. And then the same thing we're seeing in Kurdistan. There's a bakery. They've also ran out of propane. The prices went soaring. The supply went missing. And they now have switched to firewood. You used to be able to refill a 22-liter gas cylinder for around $5, and it has now surged to about $22 on his local market. So they're switching to firewood over there. Not sure how long that's going to last. Hopefully we see a resolution on that soon, and gas prices, energy prices will come back down. So we're moving on down to Australia now. Here we see there was a guy, Corey Chugg, who's 32 years old. He went missing for 4 days in the wilderness while he was apparently hunting firewood. And crews were able to locate him and communicate with him. Apparently he had fallen down a steep ravine or hill and was stuck down there. Don't have much information on his injuries, but he was airlifted by helicopter out of the woods. So they were able to transport this guy and get him and save him and find him and everything. But this was on Thursday, February 12th. The Tasmanian police revealed in a statement that he was missing, and they did find this gentleman. So good deal down there, happy ending. Be advised that he has been found alive. He suffered a foot injury and was weakened by exposure to the elements, and he didn't have food and water. So just famished, injured foot, and they got him out of there. Now, also we're down here in Australia. We're seeing in Queensland in the national parks, they're having a problem with disrespectful and dangerous and loud guests and groups of visitors to the area. And they're trying to advise the public to please keep it under control this year. They're having a problem with littering and chainsaws, poaching of firewood. You're not supposed to cut any firewood in these parks in Queensland. What they have here is they found a picture of a chainsaw next to a campfire in the park, and they issued an $834 citation just based on the photographic evidence. So apparently it's getting pretty out of hand with all of these issues. The fine for littering in a protected area, i.e. a national park, is $333, so a lot of those could probably also be issued. And just leaving messy campfires with beer cans and trash all around. So they're having a problem there with all this illegal camping, off-track vehicle use, littering, unauthorized fires, damage to fragile ecosystems, all of that. So keep it under control down there in Australia. You better watch out. They're watching you. Okay, so back over here in the United States, down in Georgia, this is really recent. As of the recording of this video, there's at least 120 homes that have been destroyed in 2 large wildfires down in Georgia. It's just raging out of control. It's claimed more than 120 homes, 54,000 acres. The area is larger than Manhattan. They believe that one of these fires was caused from a tinfoil balloon or a metallic balloon landing on an active power line and sparking up there. So it's probably one of those like metallic-y party balloons, you know, that are kind of silvery and metallic-y. Landed on a power line and burned the place down, but just burned it up down there. So hopefully they'll get that under control. That is an ongoing situation. We'll see how long that rages on this spring and summer. Hopefully they'll have that under control here in the next few days, this week sometime. And then just north a little here in West Virginia, back on March 25th at 4:30 a.m., crews responded to a truck that was on fire about a mile into the woods. So this was a logging truck a mile off of the main road, just burst into flames middle of the night. There's no information on what caused it, who was there, no injuries, nothing. Just a logging truck on fire in the middle of the woods. So that can happen. Things can spontaneously combust. I've seen that happen through with some people I used to work with. There's certain materials that you can use if you leave them on rags and things exposed to oxidation, they can spontaneously combust. So if some logging guy came and had a bunch of oil-soaked rags and stuff or something and threw them in the back of his truck, something like that could even just ignite, and then you got gas around and everything, and wood, a truck full of wood, and it'll go up. So next, I found something kind of interesting out of Israel here. They found a 7,000-year-old ostrich egg meal on a campfire at an archaeological dig site in Israel. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. Apparently, back in the days, they were bucking up that good burning wood somehow, and they were cooking ostrich eggs around the campfire. So I don't know how they used to cut wood 7,000 years ago. I mean, you study how people did old growth, you know, up in Canada and the redwoods and everything around here. I don't know how they did it 7,000 years ago with primitive axes and tools and things. They might have just been burning a bunch of twigs and stuff. But anyways, that was pretty neat. It's likely that they were eating these ostrich eggs and cooking them on fire 7,000 years ago. And it says that eggshells do not break down over time, so that's how they were able to find those. Moving right along. This is the final story for today, and if you watch the Firewood News Updates, I know there's a ton of Firewood News Updates fans out there, so thanks for the super chats and the likes and the loves and all of that. 10 out of 10 on the Firewood News Updates. But a year or so ago down in, I think it was Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, yeah, pretty much same area there, Dallas-Fort Worth area, we saw this guy, Christantis Amundi. He beat somebody. A delivery driver showed up, and this guy came running out and beat somebody to death with a piece of firewood. Now, this guy was just found not guilty by reason of insanity or temporary insanity. Apparently, the plaintiffs and the defendants in this case agreed to give this Christantis Amundi a psychological evaluation, and you have to be held to the results of the psychological evaluation, I guess, because they agreed to give this guy, take him out of prison and send him to a mental hospital of some kind. It says he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. The mental evaluation found that he was insane at the time of the crime. So I can try to post a mugshot of this guy on this. It's public information off of the local jail there that took his mugshot. So apparently what was going on there in that Dallas case, Scotty Jackson showed up to deliver firewood, and he was with the homeowner delivering the wood. It was cold outside. They were unloading the truck, and this Amundi guy showed up and got in their face and said he was on their property and it's his house and to leave, and he doesn't ever want to see him again. And he struck the homeowner, and the homeowner retreated inside the house, and apparently this guy ended up beating the firewood delivery driver with a piece of firewood, beat him to death. So that's what happened. It was a dispute. The guy thought he was on his property, and he apparently was insane. So this guy murdered somebody with a piece of firewood, and because apparently he was enraged and insane at the time, he's going to be spared prison time. But anyways, that's not my deal. I'm not a psychologist, and I am not part of that court case. So don't forget about the victims of this guy's terrible crime, by the way. Scotty Jackson was the gentleman's name that he beat to death. So prayers go out to Scotty Jackson and their family. So anyways, thanks for tuning in to this month's episode of the Firewood News Update. We'll see you again in a month or so as the firewood news rolls in. We're coming into summer, but somehow there seems to always be something on fire out there. So we'll look at the regulations in Europe, probably the wood boiler stuff, try to make sure we're keeping up with all that, and in Canada and everything, try to do some more regulation stuff throughout the summer. But I always got my eye out on the firewood news. Something will come up, and we'll see you all later. Have a good one.